Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Paul Forster. I'm on faculty in the Division of Environment and the Interdisciplinary Programs Office. And with me today is Sue Min. Sue Min is a second-year student in the Environmental Management and Technology program. And I've got Tane here, who is in his third year in the dual degree program. And today what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to tell you something about our programs and what the Interdisciplinary Programs Office, or IPO, is all about. And then Sue Min will tell you something to share with you about what she's doing, and Tane will do the same. And then we turn it over to you to ask us questions. So as we go along, feel free to just jot down your questions, and we'll come back and we'll try to answer any questions that you might have. So, well, let me tell you something about what we're doing and why we're doing it, because interdisciplinary programs are well, they're not exactly new, but they're not, you don't hear much about them. So it's kind of special to have them in one place. And so I'd like to share with you some thoughts about what we're trying to do. Interdisciplinary problems, right, are problems, wicked problems in the world. There's problems, that you know about with climate change and how the world is going. And a lot of problems don't fall neatly into any particular department at a university. So at our interdisciplinary programs, we try to find solutions to some of these problems. And in other cases, there's disciplines that are very strong, like business and engineering, that we know a lot about, but bringing them together is kind of a unique combination. And so you find up talents and you find new knowledge by bringing these things together. We have 4 schools at UST, and so we have our engineering school, we've got the School of Science, we've got the School of Business and Management, and we have our social humanities and social sciences schools. And our interdisciplinary programs are the ones that are different combinations of these schools. And part of the mission of all of these is to develop in you, as students of the IPO, skills that will last you a lifetime. So you have knowledge that comes from the different programs that you will study, but there's also knowledge that comes from going beyond that, lifelong learning, understanding how to think critically about problems, to keep yourself up to date on what is happening in the world, and to take an interest and to act with integrity and professionalism. And all of these things are behind our programs, and we try to institute those in the students in the programs. I'll go through them in order. They're all very different flavors, and which is kind of interesting because you don't find these. You would never find these together in another place, and so it's kind of cool that we have them. The first program is the dual degree program, is what we call it, engineering and business, which is a 5-year program in the environmental management and technology. And we have something very unique, which I'll leave to the end, which is called the individualized interdisciplinary major, which is a very unique program at UST, and also as far as we know, in Greater China. First is the dual degree in technology and management, and I kind of think of this as if Tony Stark were to take an undergraduate, this would be kind of like the sort of thing you take, right? You get a degree in engineering, which is within itself, there's you pick an area in there that you would be majoring in. So there's all the different computer science, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. So you'd have one of those, plus you'd have a degree in business, a BBA, and a general business degree. And so together you get up with a pretty interesting combination. This combination is not just unique because it is about the that you gain depth in any particular area. It's actually the combination that makes it very powerful. If you are a business person and you really understand the technology, that is a tremendous advantage. And if you're a technologist and you really understand the business side of things, that is actually another advantage. And so these things together, and when I show you where they go, you'll understand why this is such a cool combination. There's a lot of, and one of the things I'll just kind of mention as we go, all the programs have enrichment, so I'll kind of bring up some different things for different programs. But when you come to university, I'd like to. I'm a teacher, right? So then I like to think that good things happen in the classroom. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of the best things that happen at university happen outside the classroom. And so I encourage you and to take part in these things. And some of the things that the dual degree students get involved in are the business plan competitions, which are competitions that are held around the world, where you get together with other teams and you have a target or a goal or a company or an idea, and then you have a few days to work on to work on a business plan or a solution to a business problem. And so the students travel around the world and they go to these competitions. They do really cool things, right? We've got a lot of the startup competitions that have been taking place in different places in the world, and students have done really well. Sometimes they do really well, sometimes they don't make it, but no matter what happens, the benefit is that you went out there, you met a whole bunch of very interesting people, you got to spend some time in a cool place working on a really interesting problem. And so the DDM students have gone out and done this in many places. And I assume, Tanya, you've gone to these things too?
Yeah, I've been to quite a few. I'll talk about that in later part.
Oh, great. And there's obviously different types of competitions. We've had 3D printing competitions, which is a very cool technology. We've got healthy. This is kind of interesting, right? Because you've got engineering business students going out there and competing in environmental competitions. They're in healthy living, medical competitions. That's very interesting that you can take the knowledge that you're learning in one place and apply it to others. All right, health tech for seniors, smart appliances, very cool area. Where do they go? Well, surprisingly, you'd say engineering and business. Well, they must all end up in engineering or business, right? Well, that's actually not true. We end up in all over the place. So you'll see that there's people that do join the engineering pathway, but you find them in banking and finance. You find them in business and management. Many of them go to consulting, which is and a few of them are starting startups, and that's very exciting that we have more students that are involved in starting up their own companies. And even before they've even left UST, I know students that are starting up companies while they're still at school, and then taking them when they graduate, going further with that. And quite a few end up going to further studies. So some of the employers, you'll know a lot of the big engineering companies, AECOM and Arab. You see the tech companies. You've got IBM, and I assume we've got other students at places like Google and such, and we've got the finance companies, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, UBS, and of course they'll find students in other places doing consulting and other things that are there. There we are. We've got a couple examples here. We've got Saran Gupta, graduated just a couple years ago, who did an internship at UBS and joined various competitions for projects that are sponsored by CAFE, and IBM is now an analyst over at Goldman Sachs. EVMT, the Environmental Management and Technology Program, and this is a response to the world in which we live. We have a tremendous number of challenges, environmental challenges that are facing our human society, but also facing businesses. And so to prepare for the future, businesses are looking for leaders that will be able to help them find solutions that are acceptable not only to in business environments, but also that they help solve some of the environmental problems that we have. And it brings together actually all our disciplines at the university. This is a very challenging problem. You will not find a particular home for this problem anywhere in the university. And so we bring these solutions together to help you do that. And once again, that one of the benefits of interdisciplinary programs is that the knowledge that is created by bringing together business and management, business and environment, or environment and engineering, or social sciences and environment is a skill in itself. You may not necessarily think, wow, I don't know everything in depth. You will never know everything in depth. What's important is to know the information that's necessary to solve the problems. And that always isn't at depth. It's sometimes in between, and bringing the knowledge together. Something we want to talk about here is that getting out and seeing how people live in the world and how they solve their problems. So environment is not the same problem in every place. So going to see different places, going to Korea, going to Japan, going to mainland China, Malaysia, you see different different sorts of problems, and you see different responses to problems. So this is kind of a fun thing to do. Plus, you get to travel with your colleagues and your friends and go out and see these different places. And the students end up in a very interesting places. We have most of them join business and the business community, which you would expect, and they join mostly roles that are related to the environment, but not always. Good students are hard to find, and so companies, when they find a good student, they will get them into banking if they, student and they'll is comfortable with that. They can just work straight in banking, or they can go into sustainable investments, or they can go into the mentee programs, and they move around the company and find a home there. So there's lots of different opportunities for students. Some join NGOs, and a few years ago, I'd say 10 years ago, I wouldn't have advised joining an NGO, but that is very different today. NGOs are not only good career paths, but you see a migration between NGOs and mainstream companies and back and forth, because the sorts of people that are attracted to this now are very good people. And so they're in demand, and companies want people that have experience in solving these problems. And we have a big chunk, not only in this program, but in all our programs that go on to further studies. So if you want to, or you're interested in going off to do a master's degree or a PhD in something, these programs are good stepping stones for heading out there to do that. Employers, and they end up in these are companies that you probably recognize. Some are just in Hong Kong, so you've got Civic Exchange and you've got Ocean Park, which are unique to Hong Kong, but you've also got the big players out there that are taking students and often ending up in different places in the world. And well, we've actually got Suman here to tell you about what she's doing, but Leo was here a few years ago. I remember him, one of our early graduates here, and he had gone on exchange over to California, Occidental College, and he went on to do further studies at Columbia University in New York, and is currently a consultant over at AND, and he's done a lot of cool things. Leo is a very interesting guy with a lot of different aspirations. IIM, that is our individualized interdisciplinary major program. This is a customized program, very unique, very small. This is for students that have a very strong idea of what they'd like to study, but we don't actually have a particular home at the university. So if you're a very motivated student, you'd approach the program director and you say, hey, this is, I'd like to do something that's different from what everyone else is doing. And I've kind of laid out a pathway that I think is kind of cool for us to go along, and I'd like to get your thoughts on what we could do. And so you come together with a couple faculty, and you'd sit down and you talk about this, faculty just to oversee the program, another one that knows something about what you're trying to study, and come up with a program that suits you. Not for everybody, but for some people, this can be a fantastic way to spend the time, especially for people that, are highly motivated, but also kind of, if Elon Musk were to do one, I think this is the sort of thing that he'd do, right? Because he doesn't want to stay and kind of just do one thing. So we've had things in bionics, which is when robotics meets human needs, which is a really interesting area. Computational cognitive science, understanding how the mind works, what intelligence looks like. Environmental geosciences, bioenergy management, using a combination of understanding what happens in biology, bioengineering, and business, and HCI, human-computer interaction, which is the study of how humans and machines interact, which is going to be very important for future robotics and artificial intelligence. So these are just examples. There's more to come. We take about 5 students per year. And so with that, actually, that comes to our to the next section, which is to introduce you to Sumin. Sumin is second year in the Environmental Management and Technology program, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about your experience getting here.
Thank you, Professor Forster. It was a really detailed explanation to IPO program. So now I'm going to share my journey at UST. My name is Sumin, and let's go. So a little bit of my background. I was born in Korea, and then I graduated primary school there, and then I moved to Shanghai, and I graduated my middle school and high school there, and I took a gap year. I call it a dark period because I had to work and study at the same time to get into UST EVMT. So I'll talk about that later. So a little bit more about my academic and my interests. So I graduated from local Chinese school international division. I studied American curriculum, and many people still ask me why did I choose Hong Kong. So first of all, I can speak Mandarin, and because I lived in China for 6 years, I was more familiar and more interested in Hong Kong culture. And actually, I'm having a really like good relationship with local and mainland students in USC, so I really really like it now. And second one, the most important one, I say, many people think, and I thought so too, Hong Kong is really well planned city, and there are a lot of buildings and transportations. But then at the same time, the biodiversity conservation that they're doing here right now is really, really amazing. The balance between urban planning and the overall conservation is really, really well done. So I really thought, oh, I can learn more about the balance between economic growth and environmental protection. And thirdly, because HUST was in Hong Kong. So why did I want to get into USC VMT? So I was that kind of student who was not really interested in science or not really interested in business, but I was interested in this interdisciplinary approach to solve a real world case. So to me, EVMT was totally like that. It's like you combine environmental idea and business together to solve a real world problem. And last but not least, I heard from my uh, friends in USC already that EVMT has this really, really warm environment and everybody's helping each other because it's a small family. So I really, really like that idea. And because I took a gap year, I applied to USC 2 times. So at first, I had an old SAT. It's a total score of 2,400, and TOEFL score and environmental science, language, psychology, biology, 4 AP subjects. But I failed, so I applied again with a new SAT score and additional AP subjects, statistics, chemistry, calculus. Yeah, and then I got in, but just bear in mind that this is not a requirement for a detailed academic requirement for non-JUPAS. You can always look up to the website. So let's talk about my academic life. So really, really good thing about being a university student is that you can design your own courses. And this is my timetable for this semester. As you can see, I don't have to go to class on Monday and Friday, which is really awesome. And it's because I want to focus on my other activity for this semester. And there are a lot of different courses, like from 1 credit to 2 credit, 3 credits. And there are a lot of tutorial class that you can attend according to your timetable. So it's really, really great to do the time management well. And other best thing is that there is a add and drop period. So you can actually have 15 days of trial. So if I enroll to this course and I feel like, oh, I don't really like this professor and I think like this too much workload for me, this really, really not for me, then I can drop this course and try another course within this 15 days. I really, really like this. And for credit transfer, I got 6 credits from TOEFL score and 2 from AP Environmental Science. And it really depends on score, subject, and your willingness to transfer. So if you're in IB or if you're taking another AP subjects, you can look at the subjects and the scores to see what kind of credit transfer you can get. And for the class, there are small classes, only like 20 people are there, really, really interactive. And there are big classes, of course, in lecture hall. And as I said before, tutorial class that you can attend to. And my academic advisor is actually Professor Foster, and he's really, really always helpful. And TA is always there in lecture. So if you have any question or, you can always just find TA and ask questions. And the other thing is blended learning courses. I really, really like this kind of course because you don't get evaluated just by your test score or assignment. You get to do class discussion and presentation skills and talking to your project mates. Then TAs evaluate your overall performance other than just test score. And in the end, you really feel like you learn more than just a book. So this courses is really good. And some fun part, extracurricular activities when I'm not studying. So uh, for the academic requirement, there's actually health course in UST. I am really interested in softball. I was actually a softball coach when I was in middle school, so I was really thrilled to see softball class in USC. So I joined the softball class, but of course there are a lot of different variety of sports classes you can join, and enrichment talks and seminars to make you grow as a person. And other than that, there's art courses. I know many of you guys will think, oh, science and technology schools, they might not have any like philosophy or art classes, but no, you can actually listen to this dance, drama, art, and opera courses in USC. So let me talk about our student society. More than 90% of EVNT students are members of our society, and we hold eco-business case competition, and there's mentorship programs so you can meet environmental leaders in Hong Kong. And there are welfare distribution. You can get to have T-shirts, tote bags, and all the fun things, and other activities like beach cleaning and orientation camp. And I am actually the executive committee of this year's society. And these are some of our photos. And I'm pretty sure some of you guys are interested in like joining student union when you were in high school. And if you are interested, of course, you're more than welcome to join to the next cabinet. And the thing that I said, like the reason why I wanted to join EVMT, of course, warm EVMT family. So we had team building activities, which was organized by faculty, and then we get to know other people in year 3 or year 4 EVMT. And when students need help, faculty are always there, and when faculty needs help, we are always like students always go there and help. And this is actually the IG post in HKUST. It was a talk for high school students, and then students volunteer to help the faculty. And this food photo right there is actually from my friend, my mainland friend who lived in Hong Kong. I was really, really sad because I couldn't go back to my hometown this winter, and then she invited me to her house, and it was really, really nice. Yeah.
Looks like good food.
It was really good food. So EVMT family is just really, really warm, and I really love it. And other than that, I joined other environment-related activities. I joined President Cup and promoted the idea of composting at campus. And I joined this thing called EcoRefs. It's actually organized by HKSC Sustainability Unit. And we get to organize the project we want to do. And the project I did was researching soil degradation at UST. And these are just some of the photos that I took. And of course, there are a lot of volunteering activities, and it's even related to environment. This is me in the photo, WWF Solar Cafe promotion activity, and I volunteered as a student, and it was a really fun experience. Other than that, there are a lot of nationality, because there are a lot of like various people from different countries, and I'm Korean, so I of course joined Korean Student Society. And in the society, there are a lot of different society in the society, and I joined this union called Save Our Soul Union. So I made a AIDS and gender education card news and volunteered to Pet Rescue Center, mentoring students in Korean International School in Hong Kong. And other than that, there are a lot of fun activities like gathering. And this photo of me is actually wearing a KC jacket they give you as a welfare. And yeah, it's a fun thing. And other than KSA, there's Taiwanese Students Society and Southeast Asian Society as well. So you guys can check it out. And finally, what I did for my summer, this is not related to USD. This is just something that I randomly joined. But what I did is facilitate the joint teacher training from WWF Hong Kong and WWF Korea. So WWF Hong Kong people came to Korea to give a talk about environmental education, and I really felt like it was a really good experience for me. But at the same time, the EVMT Year 1 curriculum and the activities overall really helped me with this activity. And then I really feel like whole curriculum and the things I'm doing here right now is really, really contributing to my future, which is corporate sustainability. So that's about it, and I'll be really thrilled to see you all soon.
Very cool. Thank you, Sumi. Over to you today.
Sure. So thank you. First of all, you did a pretty good job covering most of the things, and I would kind of try and talk more about what a student can do here, like in terms of extracurriculars and other activities that we do. So before I start, a little bit about myself. So I'm actually year 3 now. I'm a dual degree program student, as Professor talked about. I'm from India. I went to a school in Delhi. I also gave SADs, ACDs, and different things. And I'll talk about my hobbies and other things in later parts. So before I joined HKUST, the thing that I was looking for in a university was that first and foremost, it should not be a financial burden for my parents. It should be something that's globally recognized. Everyone in different parts of the world knows what it is. Should have good and international faculty. Should have an international crowd that's people from different parts of the world, and should be in a good location, which definitely Hong Kong is. And that's why I applied to various colleges across the world, say in the US, in Singapore, and in Hong Kong. And I finally decided to choose HKUST for the most important reason that it gave me a scholarship. So my first year, I did not have to pay any tuition fees. I was given 100% scholarship in my first year. And apart from that, it has a very good ranking. It was ranked #1 in the top 200 young universities in 2018. It has experienced professors. It has students from all around the globe. And as you can see in the background of this picture, it looks so beautiful. You have the beach, you have the mountains, you have amazing buildings. So it's a culmination and a mixture of everything that I really wanted. So once I came into UST, um, let me talk a little bit about the different things that I did, but I will walk through it quickly because I think Suman did a very good job explaining these. So again, we have courses that you can spread around different days. Being a computer science student as well as a business student, I have courses in both computer sciences and businesses. And so that's why I kind of try and balance those two. You can choose flexible time slots. As you can see, I try waking up late. So that's why all my courses are mostly later on in the day. Um, yeah, and we have a very wonderful library. It's spanned across 4 floors and it's really big and you can get all the resources. So I generally spend a lot of time in the library. I have the spot that you guys can see in the picture where most of the people can generally find me. So I go and sit there with my laptop and a warm mug of coffee and study. More than that, something I really like is that the lectures are really customizable. So based on a class for like 10 students, we have a very small lecture or a classroom where you can interact easily. And for very big classes, you have very comfortable seats where you can sit and listen to the professor and ask questions. Then let's talk about extracurricular activities, right? So how do I, because education and especially college education is not just about studying, it's also about how you develop as a person. So how I invest my time when I'm not studying or sleeping, I try and do different things that help me build my profile. So one of the first and foremost things I joined was Alpha Kappa Psi. So Alpha Kappa Psi is a business fraternity. It's one of the world's oldest and largest business professional fraternity. So joining this helped me really develop my business skills. It helped me do presentations. It helped me do case competitions and to prepare for interviews. Apart from that, I really like debating. Even in high school, I liked debating my point and talking to different people. So here at HKUST, I joined the debate team and I go for various tournaments. Like in this winter, I'll be going to Mexico for a competition. And then I also tried consulting because I believe that consulting, and especially for NGOs, is really important because it gives you a very different perspective about the world. So that's why I joined the 180 Degrees Consulting Club at HKUST to try these things. Next, being as Professor was saying in DDP, which is the dual degree program, we get to try a lot of different things. Being a computer science and business student, you might think that I would not be that interested in, say, health tech, but that's actually not true because you can try and explore different interests. And personally, for me, health tech is something very important, especially because in India, where I come from, there's a lot of development and there's a lot of development needed in this field. So that's why in my first year I joined SITE, which you can see on the left. It's a research project team which tries and provide better health solution for people in different parts of the world. Like say for my project, it was in Cambodia. So we were trying to make a medical box that would help people in rural Cambodia to get medical aid and to know how their biometrics are. So it was a 1 year long project, and when I finally went to Cambodia to implement it, the happiness and the joy that I had was really mesmerizing. And it's one of the it's something very unique, I would say, that a person gets to do. Then last summer I was in Shanghai, and there I was developing a medical healthcare van that would help people to get medical health checkups in rural parts of China. So again, I tried and do different things about health tech, and it really helped me grow. And not just something from the program, but also university gives you a lot of opportunity. Like we organize a lot of firm visits, so we'll get emails about firm visits, and one of the firm visits that I did last year was to Uber. Now, being a computer science student, I've been really interested in Uber and what it does. So when I went there and I found out how they do it, I was pretty impressed. And then we also get to go for different hackathons, like Ernest Young has a hackathon which I participated in, and various other things. So now you might be thinking I spend most of my time either doing these activities or studying, but that's actually not the case. You have a lot of free time, especially over the weekend, where you can explore Hong Kong. And for me, the best part about Hong Kong is that although it has so many big buildings and large commercial hubs, it also has a lot of spots where you can go hiking and enjoy nature. And so that's what I try and do. Every weekend, I go and hike in different spots, take Instagrammable pictures, and pose with friends and have fun. So yeah, I try and balance out different things, and like as I said last summer, I tried doing different couple of things to grow my understanding. So I was working with a computer science professor on a machine learning project for weather prediction, because in Hong Kong we have a lot of typhoons, so it's really important to do a good weather prediction. I also went for a study tour in Tokyo to learn about their sustainability measures. I was in Shanghai for the competition that I talked about. So in UST you get a lot of opportunities, and you can try various different things. Finally, the coming semester, I'll be going to University of British Columbia for exchange, and I believe exchange is a really good opportunity for you to grow and to meet new people. And after finishing my community service, after finishing my exchange, I'll be going to Cartagena in Colombia, which is in South America, for a community service program to help teach kids there about computer science. So again, as I said, once you come to UST, you're provided with a lot of opportunities to try and develop yourself and do new things. Thank you.
Great. Actually, we've got time for questions, so thank you, Tani, and thank you, Suman. Tani, maybe you could take the first one. It says, question up here is, what is the ratio between business and engineering, or maybe even how do they balance the two?
Sure. So we have to do equal amount of courses in business and computer science. So you have to do some computer science courses and some courses in business. And not just that, you also have to do some common programs, which are say different things like humanity courses. So it's all a mixture of everything, so that you can actually develop all around. So through my com courses, I develop my technical skills, and through my business courses, I develop my soft skills. So yeah, I'll say it's a 50-50 ratio between the two.
Cool. We have another question on exchange opportunities, and are you applying right now?
I didn't apply, but many of my friends in year 3 are actually in exchange right now in Sydney and in UK, everywhere, US, and currently year 2 students are all applying.
We have over 120 exchange partners at UST, so it's quite a choice. May I ask why you chose UBC?
I've really always wanted to go to Canada, and especially Vancouver, because I have my family there. So it'd be a good opportunity for me to stay with them and meet them. And also, I really like the Canadian curriculum, and it's quite different from Hong Kong. So just get the opportunity to try both is one of the reasons.
And you chose a beautiful setting. Let's see, is there a requirement on GPA for the exchange program? Yes, there is. In general, it's 2.8 or 3 for the exchange partners. We have with each exchange partner, we have an agreement that they send us students of certain standard, and we send them the same. So usually, and as low as 2.7 or sometimes even lower. So about 50% of our students go out on exchange. Here's a very practical question. Do students sleep inside the campus? Are you referring specifically to the classroom? Because that has happened on occasion, but I think you're referring to accommodation, and we have about. Are you in hall?
Yes.
Yeah. Which hall are you in?
I'm in Hall 3, and we have a really beautiful view there, sea view.
Down on the waterfront. We have a space for about 4,500 students. And if you're an international student, then you're guaranteed housing for 2 years. By that time, you know the world well enough to be able to get housing off campus. And if you're a student in Hong Kong, then it's guaranteed for one semester, so you can have that or longer, depending on how far away you are from the campus. I'm a student from India, interested for 2019. Is it necessary for me to send SAT or Indian boards grad marks will do?
So generally, Indian students apply with the Indian boards, or that's the CBSE or the ICSE board. But if you have the SAT scores, it adds on as a point, but it's not required.
If I'm not a science student, would it be hard to study EVMT? Are you a science student?
I actually studied science in my high school, but I don't think it's a problem because from year 1 you got to study chemistry basics of chemistry and environmental science in year 1. So as long as you're fine with that, it's not going to be a problem.
We accept students into EVMT from all backgrounds. It's not a requirement. I'm a student at current student of associate degree, and I want to apply to UST. First question, do I need to upload my high school qualifications? Yes. Second, my SAT score is taken in 2014, IELTS taken 2013, AP is taken 20, do they still count? The IELTS is only valid for 2 years, so it sounds like you'll have to do that one again, but your SATs are valid for a longer time, so those will still be valid. So go ahead, that would be great. What do I need to write in a personal statement? So what you want to do is when you are writing the personal statement, is not to try to be you. That's what it is, right? So that we want something that tells us something interesting about you, not so shaped that it sounds like it's just artificial, that you've been just trying to do it for us, that you're trying to tell us what you think we want to know about what we think you know. And that's really weird, right? That gets complicated really quickly. So something genuine, something that's about you, that helps us understand you as a person, your character, your interests, what you think about the world, right? And let's see, we're down to just the last questions. I really want to know when the deadline is submitting the IELTS test, because I heard my IELTS test later. Yes, you can submit the application first and then upload the IELTS when you've done it later into the system. How's the food on campus for Indians? We can squeeze that one in.
Sure. There are a lot of options, and being an Indian, I don't find any problems. Even if you're vegetarian, you have a lot of options to choose from.
Let's see, one more. International component of UST, about 20% are non-local students, and of course, you'll find ethnicities all over the place, which is a fantastic environment to study in. You might have more questions. Do we want to take a few more questions? All right. Do I need to travel to Hong Kong to do an interview? No, you don't. If you can do it by Skype. We'll arrange that with you. This is a nice one to end on. What do you enjoy most living in Hong Kong? Maybe
How about Suman? Suman?
I like people here. They're all really friendly, and everybody has this helpful nature. So I think that's the best thing in Hong Kong.
I like the city as a whole. Like, it's so dynamic, it's so fast, and yet it's so closed. And that's really good about Hong Kong.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Suman. Thank you, Tane. And thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. We wish you a lot of luck with all your university preparations.